Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Shavi Gio and today's topic is why did I choose to leave Canada and how did I spend my time in Canada and what did I see in Canada with immigrants coming into the country and taking it from there. Well, in case you haven't subscribed, now's the time to subscribe and click the hands icon, and if you want to see more of the videos, click the red button. The thing is that basically I went to Canada because of my father, and my father told me uh, it's better to go to North America because I grew up in Middle East, and basically that's where I grew up most of my childhood. Then I went to university, several to United States, and basically I returned back to Kuwait, and then my father said, "Son, you better go to Canada," because my father's the type of person. All his friends, his office colleagues, like numbering a lot of them, they all went to Toronto and they bought houses, and then they got Canadian citizenship. So he knew a lot about country Canada. So naturally, and besides, I went to United States, so I have Social Security and everything. But like, I don't know, I just came back, and then because of what he said, I obliged, and I went to the Canadian consulate in Kuwait, and there was this really nice lady, and she told me to fill out the application form. She saw my credentials. I'm a United States graduate, and she gave me the application form. I filled it out. Next thing you know, I have an appointment with the visa officer in Dubai, and I never looked back. So this is my story. And any of you who are watching who want to go to Canada and you are curious to find out what is and what is not possible, this is a good video for your information. And if you're deciding if Canada is the country for you or not, and if you want to make that investment or your life savings to go to Canada, then you should continue watching. Without further ado, basically, so what I did, I applied, I got my appointment interview in Dubai. I went to the visa officer in Dubai, flew from Kuwait to Dubai, and because that's where they have all the visas approved and issued and from Dubai for all the Middle East nations. And he interviewed me for like 1 hour, and yeah, and that was it. And I got it, and I returned back to Kuwait. Next thing you know, 6 months later, I got my Canadian PR residence, and that was the idea behind it because I applied as a professional class permanent resident. So the thing is that I went to Canada in 2008 and I landed in Toronto, Pearson Airport, and obviously because I landed in Toronto, they gave me the PR card origination in Toronto. So I'm a Toronto, Ontario, a PR resident card holder. So that's my original destination and my target destination. So, like, if I go back to Canada, I can go anywhere in Canada, but like basically where my PR card was issued, it's in Toronto. So I'm gonna get why I'm mentioning Toronto so much is like the whole of Canada is beautiful. I mean, don't get me wrong, but like Toronto is Toronto. So the thing is that when I went to Toronto, then I was like, like in a new country, and like, yeah, it was pretty new and amazing, and because of my connections from my father, like they gave me like a tour guide, like all of their friends. Hey, Shaz, this. Go here, go here. This is good. This is not good. You should get Rogers' phone line, not Fido. So I was like, okay, all right, yeah, sure. And after that, after the first 3 years in my in Toronto were very difficult, because the reason was like I have that American mindset, or a little bit of yeah, I have like American mindset. So I got American degree. I went to American high school all my life, English high school, British system, and so like my mind was like pro America and everything. But then when I went to Canada, it was like, okay, we're in British Commonwealth nation. That was not the issue. The issue was like the whole culture is like, yeah, they speak English in Canada. They speak, French and English, but the Canadians have their own system. Like for me, it was easy because I have a U.S. degree. So I have a U.S. degree in computer science. So they didn't like, there was no big deal. I got a few jobs, pretty good. And that's where I excelled because a lot of the people who come to Canada, they have like local degrees. So they don't get jobs. The Canadian government doesn't approve of their degrees. They need to go to Canadian universities, go for another 4 years. Oh my God. And then get a Canadian degree and then apply for a job. With me, I didn't have that problem. From day one, I was officially recognized as a North American graduate. So I got lucky. My first job that was like the biggest job that I got was in IBM. And what I've heard, like when I was working there in IBM in Steele's headquarters office in Markham, my father's friends and some local employees from that area said that we applied to this company in our 30 years career and we didn't get it. And Shazzy, how did you get it? Well, I'm who I am. That's me. That's Shaz. So I got that job and I worked there, and I swear by God, it's like I worked in many different companies, but this company was like the most outstanding experiences that I've had like on a daily basis. I mean, it was just mind-boggling quality, learning experiences, working experiences, and all positive things I can think about. So the thing is that you have to have certain quality to make it in Canada. So that was a dream job. And with me, there were a lot of colleagues who got the job as I did. And immediately, I could see their families were jumping up and down. They were making arrangements to get married and stuff, yada, yada, yada. And they were like super happy. Some of them were buying nice cars and everything. So I was like, hey man, it's only a job, a big deal. Like for me, like, getting an executive job in North America is not a big deal because like my expenses are pretty high anyway. But the thing is that a normal person coming to Canada, you can't just get a job or your dream job in IBM or Microsoft or Java, Sun Systems. No, you can't. It's very difficult. There are people already in the market there. There are people already working to get, trying everything, even with sources. And, and I got one of those jobs, the dream job. And trust me, the second day I went to a Chevrolet dealer. Yeah, this is the car. And I was checking out this Corvette that I wanted to buy. That's how good that job was. Anyway, so the point I'm trying to make is that not many people who realize this, coming to Canada is not as easy as you can think. There's an obstacle. It's called making a lot of money on a monthly basis for the rest of your life. Because Canada is not cheap. It's pretty expensive. And if you see the hurdles, like if you don't make money in Canada, bye bye. That's it. And like seriously, like a few people I knew who came as to Canada and they couldn't survive. They couldn't get a job. They couldn't like stay. So in 6 months they packed their bags and went back to their original countries. This was like in 2008. I'm talking about. So the thing is, it's not easy as it looks. So if you're thinking of coming to Canada, you have to consider all these factors. Can you get a job? And I'm not talking about working in a restaurant, as a waiter. Anybody can do that, but you can't live off that. The second thing, that the really good thing happened to me, because I got a good job, and this was like executive job, then it was like the second best thing. I'm talking like financially right now. The next best thing in Canada that happened to me, a lot of people doesn't happen. I got benefits because I was like, there's something like I don't know. I'm not going to discuss a lot, but I got a lot of benefits because I'm a taxpayer because of my IBM job for certain years. The Canadian government gave me like on monthly for like so many years, like in my bank account, so many dollars. Like, I mean, I'm not talking about $20. I'm not talking about thousands of dollars. Yeah, that's how much money the Canadian government spent on me. So the thing is, because of my IBM job, I got these benefits. Because of these benefits, I'm like above everyone else, like a local Canadian, refugee citizen. I'm a permanent resident. And permanent residents are not refugees because in Canada we have a lot of refugees, and they can't even speak English, to be honest. So you gotta have certain skill set. And if you see my channel, YouTube, I can speak fluent English like without blinking my eye. So the thing is, and I learned Russian too in Canada. Yeah, there are a lot of Russian people there. По-русски, как дела? So the thing is that certain things happen, really positive experiences with me, with myself, as soon as I went to Canada. So what I'm trying to say is a lot of people who go to Canada, these things don't happen to you. That's the point I'm making. You can go to Canada, but you will not survive. You will come back. Because another problem in Canada is that it's minus 35 degrees centigrade. That's cold. I can ride a motorbike in Canada in minus 35. So I've even got compliments from white people. Hey, how do you ride a motorbike in minus? I can do it. So the thing is that, there are a lot of things you have to ask yourself. Like, is the country for you? Can you adapt to it? Are you flexible? Are you knowledgeable? Are you experienced? Do you have the education certification? So these are all the questions. And another thing I want to add to this list is that I've just looked at a video. A lot of people are leaving Canada right now. And this is in November 2024. Because the country Canada has put strict rules and strict conditions. If you can't afford to live in this country, you can go back. Because the Canadian government is not going to pay for every Tom, Dick, and Harry. You need to have certain qualifications to get the life that I've lived. Because I've lived a super life in Canada. And the other thing I wanted to get, before I continue to the next topic, I landed in Toronto. What is Toronto? Toronto is not Saskatchewan. It's not Quebec. It is Toronto. And in Toronto, if you're living there, you're living in New York City of Canada. And that is super. And the person who I am, I like living in big cities, straight up. So for a single bloke like me, coming to Canada first time and then landing in Toronto, it's like my life just took off. I didn't spend one life like in boredom. My life, like I had people coming from Niagara Falls, they're coming from Kitchener, in near Toronto, and they're telling me, our lives are so boring, man. I wish we were living in Toronto. I was like, yeah, well, that's me. So, that's the difference of scale of fun and entertainment in downtown in Toronto versus somewhere in, like Kitchener or, stuff like that. Those kind of towns. So this is a major aspect. Like, where do you live? That's the main thing I'm trying to get at. So if you want to go to Canada, you have to pick the right city for you. Besides that, the other thing that I learned while I was in Canada is that because the Canadian population is only 38 million people, the whole country, it's not very social. So, in some towns, they only have 200 people. And like Toronto has 9 million people, so it's the biggest city, it's like amazing. But some places are just like super, super like small. So what do you do with your time? You see, that's what I'm getting at. So if you're in Canada and let's say you get a nice job and you have enough money and you're pretty smart and you land and you manage to stay there for long, after 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, you got to find something to do, bro. If you're like, if you're a single bloke, unless you're married, okay, that's a different story. So, but yeah, even if you're a couple and if you're a pretty boring couple, then you can't live in Canada. You need to find something that you can mix in with the community. Me being who I am, so like I joined a fraternity when I was back in university, so I knew the culture very well. And then if my background, like I'm also LGBTQ, so my life just went sky high. like really high. Like I got invites in a week, like 4 parties per week. So I used to go to social chat and choose, from different groups, and it was pretty awesome. The thing I'm trying to say is that like I got invites for 4 events or social gatherings. Maybe it could be a picnic, it could be someone's apartment party, it could be a bar, nightclub, whatever invite, with a social group, and it was amazing. And they used to pay for me. I never paid for my cover charge, straight up. I'm not trying to be stingy, but I'm just saying. So the thing is, you gotta have a couple of things in order to make it in Canada. And if you don't have these things, then you won't survive. Straight up. You're gonna just have to pack up your bags and go back to whatever country you came from. So I had all these qualities, and I've got compliments from Government of Canada, Ontario Surface. They said that we need people like you, Mr. Jalil. And I thought, yeah, sure, thanks. Okay. And if you bring your wife, we'll give her the same things that we gave you, benefits they were referring to. I was like, oh, thank you, thanks, nice to know. So it's like, that's the thing. Because, it's like there's a thing. There's a lot of like, I'm not going to say it, but like there's a lot of, refugee level immigrants too. So if you're going to Canada, you need to decide when you're living there, how are you going to spend your time in Canada? That is the thing. Because, you can just let's say you're rich and you go to Canada, but you don't know how to spend your time. You're going to fail in depression, straight up. So there's something called CAMH. Yeah, this North America is pretty advanced. And then the other thing that I realized is like some people, they come to Canada, they come on a business visa, they start a business for 3 years, the business fails, the bosses are not very happy, they pack their bags and then they go back. But at least they have their Canadian citizenship. That is pretty good. So like I said, what the news I'm watching today, like a lot of Canadians are moving out of Canada. These are those people who've lived in Canada, who've got their citizenship, and they're moving ahead, and they're going to another country to start something else, maybe a business or something. That is okay. You can do that. And I've heard if you have Canadian citizenship and you go to another country, they can pay you like 3 times more the salary. So that's good. That works. So that is awesome. So so I hope you've learned a couple of things that I've said. How I spent my time there and why I was successful where many other people are not successful. I hope I've outlined the reasons and some obstacles. I may be missing 1 or 2 more points, but the thing is that you have to be pretty flexible and adaptable because North American culture is not your average culture. It's pretty advanced, and you got to keep up with them. And this is on a daily basis, And coming from a Muslim background, and Sunni Muslim, and basically, who prays like Jummah, Friday prayers, and you got to be pretty, what shall I say, open-minded. That's what happened. And, I hope you've learned a couple of things or 2, and I hope, whatever you decide, come to Canada, go to Canada. But you got to be pretty fast and flexible and adaptable, and how you're going to spend your life. Because, that country is beautiful. And if you don't know how to use that country, bro, pack your bags, go leave before you make a fool of yourself. So that's the thing. And and many people, they don't even know what they can get, what they can't get, what they know, what they don't know. So there are like many factors available. And Canada is one of those countries, everything, the government, like you just go, it's all there. You just have to be a little bit smart, like how to access and what is there, what to get, what not to get, and stuff like that. So but like if you're watching Shadow Geo, then you're watching a really advanced channel. Well, I hope I've educated and you've learned a thing or 2, and I hope you can see my Canadian lifestyle playlist. It's in the playlist section, and you will see the visual videos and take it from there. Well, happy trails until we meet again, and keep smiling till then. Ta-ta.